What's up, guys? Zaxby Sauce, aka ConfusednSurgent here, back for another episode of Will It Game, the series that is taking the internet by storm. This is episode 4 of the Will It Game series previously mentioned. And before I jump into our normal overview and benchmarks and so forth, I would like to announce I'm doing a video card giveaway on this video. I'm going to be giving away the 750 Ti that I am holding here. This is an Asus DirectQ 2 version and is one of the 750 Ti's that I used for my 750 versus 950 budget GPU battle video. So if you would like to see how this particular card performed, make sure to go back and watch that video. There's a playlist link in the description. Also, you can see the overclocking results, you can see the FPS results, and if you want to, there is a spreadsheet, a Google Sheets document in the description as well that is constantly updated with the latest benchmark results. After each video comes out, I put the full benchmark results list on that spreadsheet so you can see how each card compares to each other as they come out. So, like I said, I'm going to be giving away this 750 Ti. Now, the giveaway will work as follows. In the comment section below, drop me a haiku telling me how you're going to use the 750 Ti. You're going to play a game with it, you're going to throw it around the yard with your kids, you're going to let your dog run around with it, whatever. Just drop me a haiku, preferably something funny. I'll pick the best one, and then I'll figure out how to get in contact with you and send it to you. So, like I said, this 750 Ti is going to go out to one of you lucky viewers. I can't really track likes and subscribes as far as who does what, as far as I know. So, I mean, it would be awesome if you'd also subscribe and like, but to get into the contest, just drop a comment with a haiku, 575. If you don't know what that is, Google it, and then come back, drop me a haiku about what you'll do with this 750 Ti. As I said, I'll pick the best one, and then I'll send this out to the winner. I am going out of the country for the next month or so. I'll pick the winner, and then it'll probably have to wait until I get back in early March, like first week of March, I'll be back. So when I get back, I will send the card out. Hopefully by then we'll work out how I can get it to you. Jumping right in today's episode, enough with the 750, we've already been over him. On today's episode, we have this baby right here. Now, I know many of you may be thinking, you only do GeForce reviews. Well, that is incorrect. Even though the first 3 episodes revolved around NVIDIA cards, today we have a card from the mighty AMD. We have the R7 370. And this would be an entry-level, low mid-range card from AMD. Before I go into more detail, I'm going to a quick outline of the process. I'm going to go over an overview of the card, its specifications, when it was released, so on and so forth. I'm going to go over overclocking results on this particular model. That way you can get an idea of what you might see on yours. I'm going to tell you the benchmarks I used to do all of my testing, and then I'm going to show you the benchmarks. You're going to have about 5 seconds with each graph. You can pause at any point, obviously, and take a look, or look down below, and that spreadsheet is there, and you can see all the results there as well. Then I'll come back here after the benchmarks for my conclusions and tell you, can it game today, and is it worth a buy at its current purchase price? All that being said, this is the R7 370, released by AMD June of 2015 for an MSRP of $150. This is going on eBay right now. The 4GB version is going for $225, so it's actually selling for more on the used market than it originally debuted for almost 3 years ago, and the 2GB version goes for about $175. It released with 1,024 stream processors, 64 texture units, 32 ROPs, a core clock of around 900 megahertz depending on the manufacturer, and it could boost up to 975 or 1,000. Those depending on the manufacturer. It also had 5.6 gigabit per second GDDR5 RAM, 2 gigs of that. Usually they have 4GB models, and it had a 256-bit memory interface. All of those specifications are basically exactly the same as the Radeon HD 7850, which was the mid-range card of the 7 series that released in 2011-ish. So AMD has been rebranding those chips since around 2011. This card, as I said, came out in 2015, so that's a good 4 years later. AMD is still using the chips they developed in 2010, 2009, and then released in 2011. This is on the 28 nanometer process, and they did manage to bring the TDP down to 110 watts. whereas the 7850 had a TDP of 150 watts. So that's a 40 watt savings. They didn't come down in manufacturing process, which usually accounts for savings in TDP in the same general chip layout. So actually they increased the core clock. They significantly increased the memory clocks because the HD 7850 had 4.8 gigabits. So it was an 800 megahertz increase on the RAM. So they increased clocks on both the core and the RAM and still managed to shave 40 watts off the TDP. So that's pretty impressive. This one comes with one 6-pin PCIe power connector, and that is pretty standard. At 110 watts, you can pull about 70 to 75 watts off the board, and then you're going to need to get anything extra from the PCIe power connectors. So to get that full 110 watts, it needs that one connector. Overclocking-wise, this card did not overclock well at all. I didn't really get much on the core. Core overclock is where you're going to see the highest performance gain. I didn't really see much on this one, maybe at 15 to 20 megahertz at most. It is fairly overclocked out of the box though, so it's not all that bad. But so I won't be including overclocking results in the graphs because they were essentially the same as the regular result. Also, your mileage may vary on that. You could very well get a card that could overclock into the 1100 plus megahertz range out of the box. On the benchmarking side, we have quite a few actual games and then some synthetic benchmarks thrown in there as well. I also I got Doom working. I have about a 40 to 45 second run that I do in the same section that I can repeat over and over again using the same movements, looking at the same objects. That way it's a pretty even comparison between cards. I got that working in both OpenGL and Vulkan, so the Doom results will be on here. So we have 2013's Tomb Raider and its 2015 sequel, Rise of the Tomb Raider. We have 2013's Shadow of Mordor and its 2017 sequel, Middle-earth: Shadow of War. We have the 2017 title Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, 2016's Deus Ex Mankind Divided, 2016's Hitman, 2015's Rainbow Six Siege, 2016's Steep, 2016's Far Cry Primal, and 2016's Doom. And some of those also have DirectX 12 benchmarks, which I will include in the graphs when that is applicable. And Doom has both OpenGL and Vulkan, Vulkan is a very low-level API that has a drastic performance improvement on most cards, and you'll see those in the benchmark results. Synthetic-wise, we have Unigen's Heaven, Valley, and their new Superposition benchmark. We also have 3D Mark's Firestrike and Time Spy, and those are graphics score only. I don't want the CPU to overly influence the results. So all that being said, let's jump right into the benchmarks, and we'll come back here afterwards for my conclusions. See you then. And we're back. So as you can see, the 370 is not really up for, even the 4 gigabyte version, it's not really up for competition at anything approaching medium or high settings in most of today's games at 1080p. You can see in Rise of the Tomb Raider, it hits 49 FPS at medium, 42 at high, and then very high, it's all the way down into the 30s. Shadow of War, it's at 47 on medium, which is playable. In the mid to high 30s and above is pretty playable on third-person games, so that's not terrible. You can play this Shadow of War on medium at 1080p on this card. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands, low is 52. That's acceptable. It drops down to about 37, 35 once you go to medium and high. Those, you really don't want numbers like that, so you're probably going to want to stick on low. The trend continues. I'm not going to go over every result here, but you can look back at the results, the graphs posted earlier. But yeah, basically low to medium is about all you can expect with this card. Here's the problem: this is a $200 to $225 card on the used market today. That puts it on the same footing as cards like the HD 7970, R9 280X. You're talking about GTX 1050 Ti level price range in the used market, maybe even a 970, 770, cards like that, cards that are going to absolutely stomp this card. Even the 950, if you look at the overall chart down in the description, the 950 beats this card handily every single time. And the 950 is a $100 to $115 card on the used market. So it's basically a slightly faster 750 Ti for twice as much money. And it's a much slower 950, again, for twice as much money. So if this card were to sell on the used market for what it should, so at 150 MSRP in 2015, it should be selling now for 75 to 80 bucks used, max. If it were selling for that, it'd be a decent option because it's above the 750 Ti, so it would sit right there, but still well below the 950 at about 100 bucks. And that's about where it should be. It should be in that range. But I don't know. I don't understand why the used market. This is not a good mining card either. You're not going to mine with R7 370s. There's just not enough horsepower there. So I'm not totally sure why the market is pushing the price on this up when it's not on cards like the 950 or cards like the 1050 even. There's nothing I can do about that. And at today's prices, it's not worth it. I absolutely would not recommend this card to anyone for any reason. There's no scenario where paying $200+ for this card would be a good idea. It's not particularly power efficient. It's not small. This particular model anyway is not small. It's not going to fit in OEM cases because it requires that 6-pin PCIe power connector. You can get 950s that run off 75 watts all day. You can get 1050s that run off 75 watts all day. With that in mind, like I said, I would not recommend this card. That's going to happen. This is will it game. It's not this card game. So we are going to have cards that are a negative on this show, just like the 590. This is one that I would not recommend you go out and get. And unlike the 590, even if you're curious, I wouldn't recommend you go out and get this because it's not cheap either. The 590, at least, if you want to see a dual GPU card, it's 60, 70 bucks and you got one. This is $200+ you're throwing away for no reason. That's it for today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. Let me know if there's anything you want to see, anything else I can do, any reviews you'd like to see. Also, remember, 750 Ti giveaway. Drop a comment down below with a haiku telling me what you're going to do with the 750 Ti. I will select the best one, and I will ship you your very own 750 Ti. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe. I already said that. That's twice. Like, comment, subscribe 3 times. This is 2. This is 3. There we go. 3 times. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.